Welcome to another episode of the Washington Retirement Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Ethan Meikle. On this podcast, we talk about all things that have to do with your Washington State retirement, pension plans, and benefits. In today's episode, we're talking about, should we use our retirement funds to pay off our debt? This question comes up all the time, and we're going to be addressing it here today. After we cover that topic, we're going to go on to the question of the day, which is, how will Washington State handle the new Secure 2.0 Act as in regards to the Roth catch-up contribution? Starting in January 2026, anyone that makes over $145,000 is being required to put all catch-up contributions towards a Roth. So we're going to address how Washington State is going to handle that, all the things you need to know before that rule goes into effect. Now, before we jump into that, in the show notes below is going to be a link to join our free community. Inside there, you're going to access to my brand new free retirement course that goes over the different benefits, investing, and things that you need to know as someone starting off or currently in the Washington State retirement system. So it's free to join and to watch. It's over 5 hours long. All you have to do is click the link below to join, and I'll see you guys there. Now let's dive into the topic today, which is using your retirement funds to pay off debt. So a lot of people jump to the conclusion that taking money off my retirement account to pay off debt is a good thing because debt is bad, therefore I should eliminate it. I don't want any payments in retirement, or I want to get rid of this debt before I retire. So I'm going to use my funds to pay this off. Now, remember that everything has tax consequences as well as other things that you have to think about. So if I do go ahead and pull money out of my retirement account to pay off my debt, I might be debt-free, yay, but that money that I just spent might have some type of tax consequence to it. It all depends on which retirement account you pulled from, how old you were when you pulled it, what tax bracket you're in, or is that distribution you just took going to push you into a different bracket. So there's a lot of things you have to look at here. I've seen this mistake plenty of times, and in fact, the only clients I've ever seen run out of money were because of this. They were so focused on getting out of debt that they sacrificed their own retirement savings. Their life savings got sacrificed to be debt-free. So great, there's no debt. That also means no savings. Now you're living paycheck to paycheck retirement, which is not where you want to be. And chances are at some point in the future, you might have to take on more debt because now you don't have the funds to support any future expenses. So case in point, I had someone that paid off their car or bought a brand new truck in retirement early. They cashed out a big chunk of the retirement, $40,000, $50,000 to buy this new truck. That truck's not going to last 20, 30 years, and most times at some point something's going to break, it's going to get run down. I mean, maybe it'll last, but more often than not, at some point, you might have to trade it in either for a smaller car, something newer, for whatever reason. Maybe you can't get into the truck because you're in an older age, so you have to downsize to a smaller car. So when that happens, you might have to shell out more money. If you don't have any savings left, that's really hard to do. So paying off debt retirement, it can be a really tricky thing to maneuver here. To put some numbers to it, if you're trying to pay off your home, for example, let's say you got $50,000 left. I'm going to pull $50,000 out of my retirement account just to pay it off because I want to owe it. I don't want to mortgage anymore. That'll make me feel better in retirement. Taking $50,000 off, you might own the home now. It's going to reduce that payment. As far as interest saved, it's not going to be much. If you look at what your mortgage rate is, it's somewhere 3 to 8%, somewhere in that range. When you only have $50,000 left in your mortgage, the majority of your payment is going towards principal. You're past the tipping point when you first got the home where most of it goes interest. Now it's the flip side. And while you might save that 3% interest, your chances are that $50,000 being invested probably would have earned more than that over the course of your 20, 30-year retirement. So it's an opportunity cost. It's what is that $50,000 could have been. That $50,000, should we not have paid off our mortgage, could have potentially grown to $80,000, $100,000, $150,000 had we not touched it. So while we now own our home, that $50,000 that we took out could really be costing you 6 figures. So it's a 6-figure mistake. Not to mention that most people, when they're taking money out of their retirement accounts, are taking that from a pre-tax account. So we have to deal with taxes. If I pull $50,000 out and I'm sitting inside this 22% bracket, I have to account for that. I'm going to need to hold at least 20% from that money. So while I pull $50,000 out, I might only get $40,000 to actually spend in the house. So what do I need to do? I need to go back. I need to take more out. Or I need to start off by taking over $60,000 just to be left with $50,000. So now it's not just a $50,000 withdrawal. Now it's 60 some odd thousand. So I have to pull out more for taxes. And the more you pull out, the more taxes you pull out. So it's a slippery slope. So it's important to understand the pros and cons of what you're trying to accomplish and what you're sacrificing when you're going down this route. Now, to add injury to insult, if you're under age 59 and a half and you're pulling money off of something like an IRA, there's also 10% penalties that go along with this. So it could cost you even more when you start tacking those penalties on. Oftentimes I see this where people come to me and they'll say, hey, I've got a small 403B account or small annuity account. It's got maybe $10,000, $20,000 in it. Can I just use that to pay it off? It's not growing anyways. It's only getting 2 or 3%. Can I just pay off the debt, right? The debt is more than the account's growing. So in that case, it could make sense. But also, if you're only getting 2 to 3% in an account like that, you have it invested the wrong way. It should be growing much more than that. So again, sacrificing that money now, it's something that could potentially grow for the future. Now, on the flip side of this, if you're looking to land a debt, and let's say that debt has like a minimum payment that is coming off. So let's say you have a HELOC, for example, and the minimum payment's $600 a month. That can be hard to sustain in retirement, especially if you're tight on a budget. And if you have the option to maybe pay $20,000 on it to wipe it out and get limited debt, maybe it might make sense. I would still look at the tax strategies. It might just make sense to just take a small withdrawal from your overall retirement account to pay it off. Now, you're not taxed anymore if you take $10,000 out day one or if you take it out over the course of the year. It's all taxed the same. So I'm not saying you can't use any retirement to pay it off. I'm just saying taking big chunks out for the sole purpose of paying off debt that's above and beyond what a normal distribution year would be often doesn't make the most sense. So if you have $500,000 and you say, hey, I want to pull $20,000 off this year to pay off some debt, that's probably fine. If we're not using that money for anything else, we're not currently living off of it, that's fine. That's well within the scope of reason to do that with. But if you're saying, hey, I need $200,000 out, that's the red flag. That's too much. So you got to find the balancing point with it. Remember, in finance, it's never an always solution. It's always, it depends, and depends on the circumstance. So it's when people write questions to me, it's really hard to know where they're coming from and which ways to answer it, which is why in-person meetings or talks you're talking to a planner is always going to work out better. And the last point I want to make with all this is when you go into retirement, all you have saved is all you're going to have. Most people in retirement aren't saving anymore. They're living off of their Social Security, pensions, and whatever, pulling money from their retirement account. They're not actively saving to it. It's really important to make whatever you have last as long as you can, because there's a lot of things that can come up. Long-term care costs always rise, medical rises. There's all types of things that can come down the road. And if you spend too much too early to get out of debt, you might open yourself up to bigger problems later down the road when you don't have the funds, when you really need to have that kind of money. So I always say, just be careful using your time to pay off debt. Do it strategically. Make sure you have a second set of eyes on it, because doing things on your own might sound good. You might watch YouTube videos in the back of your opinion, but until you get someone's second opinion that's done this hundreds or thousands of times, it's really hard to justify making a move reversible. So once you pull that money out, that triggers the tax bill. That money can never be added back into your retirement account. You're not working anymore. So it's always important to consult someone before making big money moves like this. All right, so on to our question of the day, and that is in regards to Secure Act 2.0, how is Washington State going to handle the Roth contributions that are now mandatory? With anyone that makes over $145,000, you're now being required to put anything above the standard contribution rate into Roth, right, the catch-up amount. So this is only affecting your 401k. If you guys have 401ks, there are some state employees that do, but mostly it's you're looking at your 403b and your deferred comp plans, your DCP plans, or 457 plans. This is what we're talking about here. People in plan 3, that doesn't impact you at all. There's no Roth option. There's no contribution limits you have to really worry about. I mean, there is, but it's so big that most people never ever hit it. This is big thing about DCP, 403b, and 401k accounts. The normal contribution amount just got raised. So for 2026, we're looking at $24,500. The catch-up contribution got raised up to $8,000. So that $8,000, the amount above $24,500, is what the Secure Act is talking about. That $8,000 is mandated to go into the Roth part of your retirement account if you earned over $145,000 currently. Now that $145,000 is the taxable amount. It's what shows up on your paycheck. It is before you do any type of deductions. So if you make $150,000 and put $10,000 pre-tax into a 403b account, so you only get taxed on $140,000, that doesn't matter. You made $150,000, and that's what the IRS is going to go off of. So it's how much you made before any of these retirement contributions or deductions. So it's really hard to get underneath those loops. If you make it, you're probably going to have to make this decision of do I do Roth or not. Now, this is not an option. It has to be Roth. So your employers are supposed to automatically flip you into the Roth. Now, how Washington State's going to handle this is yet to be decided. They had a meeting scheduled for November 6th. It got canceled or postponed. So we'll see what they decide. And the fact that Roth DCPs are now available across all of Washington, that's going to be a pretty easy one to adjust. If you're currently doing DCP, getting put into Roth, not a big deal. 403b providers, 437 providers that are private, this might be an issue. If you're in a school district, for example, that does not have Roth as an option and you're currently maxing out doing your 30 some odd thousand per year, then that means basically you can only do the 24/5. After that, you can't contribute anymore because Roth's not an option. There is no ability to contribute over the 24/5 unless anything above that goes to Roth. So you're kind of out of luck. So it's important to start pressing your employer to start adding this Roth option. Otherwise, you can't save anywhere. You're going to have to start doing backdoor Roth IRAs and things like that. You can't use it, the current pre-tax route you're currently doing. So as far as Washington State goes, how they're going to handle who gets roped into this, is it going to be an automatic thing? Do we have to elect it? How are they going to track it? That's all yet to be decided, and that's what they're going to be discussing at their next meeting. So for now, the answer is we don't really know how they're going to handle it, but it is a rule. It's mandatory. It starts January 1st, 2026. We've known this rule's been coming since they passed it back in 24. So it's not like this is a surprise thing. This is typical government, DRS. We're into the last possible moment to start making plans for this new rule change. So we'll see what happens, how they decide to handle it, but it is something that is mandatory. So it's important to start planning now if you're in this wheelhouse. If you think, hey, I might be getting a raise, I'm going to be bumped up to over 145, you should also start planning for this as well, because it just very well could affect you. So this is one of those moments where we just kind of have to wait and see where the state goes. Now, this is a thing we've been tracking inside our free community. I started announcing it to the group over a month ago to start planning for this and giving them updates on what the state decides. So if this is something you're interested in tracking or want to be kept up to date on rules like this in the future, join the free community. The link is in the description below. There's also free downloads for you guys and also free courses I'm still putting out as things come up. So if that's of interest for you, click that link below to join. And until next time, remember that your future depends on what you do today. All right, before I sign off, just a real quick legal disclosure that we're required to say as licensed fiduciary advisors. So remember that this is a podcast. It is designed for educational and entertainment purposes only. I don't know you personally, therefore I cannot give you any personal advice. So please don't take anything that we say on the show as being personal, financial, legal, or tax advice. If you want that kind of stuff, make sure you seek out a professional so they can help you with the strategies and investments that are right for you. Also, please remember that despite the name of our show, we are in no way associated with Washington State or the Department of Guidance Systems or any other Washington employer. We're a private-owned firm that specializes in working with Washington State employees, which is why we know so much about this stuff. So remember, we don't work for the state in any way, shape, or form. So please don't confuse us as being an official representative of the state. All right, that's it for the legal stuff. I'll catch you guys all next time.